All right, so which movie you guys seeing, Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Barbie, no hesitation. Next question.
Well, your boy Frisk is all about it, right?
Yeah, dude, we've been running like with jokes on it because when that movie got announced, he like lost it, went ballistic, went absolutely crazy on Spaces. He was so excited for it. He was like, I can't wait to see this. It was absolutely gold. It was hilarious. You've also seen the timeline going crazy yesterday, basically saying that like Margot Robbie is like just the most basic human being. And I'm like, what?
Who said that? Who originated that? Because I saw that was the viral meme of crypto Twitter yesterday as Margot Robbie is mid.
Yeah, but it wasn't like one person. It was like there was like a trailer that came out, and like a million people were just commenting on it, like she's so basic.
It's the same people I got in a fight with this morning. These people are ridiculous. I got in a brawling, brutal Twitter match with these same types of people online. It's weird, man. They just want attention. That's why you would call Margot Robbie mid, is you want attention. Because that is just absolutely the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life.
The whole point is to make hot takes that are just completely wildly wrong is basically the best way to get engagement. So that's a pretty solid one, is calling Margot Robbie unattractive.
I would love to see what the people who look like who are calling her mid. Just to like, just come out from behind the Twitter avatar, show me your face and say out loud, Margot Robbie is mid. And then
I actually got a picture of one of them if Clemente wants to pull it up. That's one of them. And I got a picture of another one, Clemente.
And he's using one of the meme pictures of the guy from South Park.
The guy Margot Robbie's 4.
The Oppenheimer. Why is it? This is like the like lowest stakes situation ever, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's what
is Oppenheimer?"
Let's first start. Well, we'll answer that, but let's first start with the condition, which is, when was the last time that you were like, which movie do I see in a theater this weekend? Like, I don't think most people are like struggling with that choice. Instead, it's like, what am I going to watch on Netflix? Like that's basically the most common thing. So it's not like, oh, let me like get up and go to the movie theater. But I feel like this is like a Hollywood manufactured sort of scenario here to create a conflict because no one wants to go to the movies anymore.
No, I like to go to the movies, first of all.
I love the movies.
Phenomenal. Get a little Dr. Pepper, maybe some candy, have a blast. Recliner seats are like standard these days. It's phenomenal. It's a great time. I'm with Easy. I'm definitely going to see Barbie over Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer strikes me as like the Imitation Game style movie. I'm just like going to enjoy parts of it from like a historical sense, but I'm not going to get razzed up.
What is Oppenheimer?
Plus, I'm not a big fan of dropping the nukes on the Japanese. I may be in the minority, but I think that was a mistake, to be honest with you. I think it was kind of fucked up. I think it's weird that no one thinks it's fucked up. It's like being at a party with a guy that did something fucked up and no one wants to say anything. They're just like, no, it's fine. I think it's kind of weird.
Yeah, Easy. It's the guy who invented the nuclear bomb, basically. Or, well, I guess ran the program. So
are we blaming him for the death and destruction of millions?
I'm sorry, I have to jump in. You guys have to see this cast for Oppenheimer. They got the guy.
The movie looks insane. Y'all are smoking crap.
It's insane. The takes of Barbie over Oppenheimer. Like, I just have Matt Damon, Rami Malek from Bohemian Rhapsody, Emily Blunt, Robert. They got Iron Man doing this. Like, what are we talking about here, guys? I just have to.
One is an epic film. The other one is more about Mattel's marketing engine trying to make Barbie relevant because sales are going down.
Did you hear what happened with the Barbie movie? They bought so much pink paint for the set that there was a global shortage of pink paint. Like, for an extended period of time, you couldn't buy pink spray paint, couldn't buy cans of it. It was just the movie used so much just to paint this whole set pink.
Can I just say, on the whole, like, Oppenheimer versus Barbie, the only reason people are going to see Barbie is because it's Margot Robbie. If they actually had got a mid actress, like, no one would care. Everyone would say it's Barbie. And I mean, I'm not a Barbie person at all, and I'm only going because of Margot Robbie, and not because she's hot, but because she's a phenomenal actress. If you
I'm here for Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
Not even Ryan
No.
Reynolds.
Like Barbie, sorry, not Barbie. Margot Robbie started off in Neighbours, which I'm pretty sure 5 of you here don't know what Neighbours is, but it was this hit daytime drama, like telenovela, but from Australia. And she was in that, and she was like a nobody, and she's gone from that to becoming this A-list Hollywood actress. And I fell in love with her, and I can't Focus with Will Smith, where she has to hustle, and then she gets hustled by the hustler, and then from there, Wolf of Wall Street, and that's kind of it. But I'm only going because of Margot Robbie, and that's why it's winning over Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
Oh, go ahead, Kix.
I was just gonna say I know why Clemente likes Oppenheimer better, because he's like the kind of guy that like watches the 1917 movie and like the single shot where the guy's like running like out of the trenches. Like Clemente just like watches that one scene on loop.
Well, that movie's actually good. That's directed by Sam Mendes. The thing about Oppenheimer that's a risk is that it's directed by Christopher Nolan. And so a lot of people are obsessed with Christopher Nolan, right? But like Christopher Nolan's made some pretty good movies. He made the 3 Batman movies. The first one is good. The second one, The Dark Knight, is good. The third one is certainly mid. The third Batman is certainly mid. And then the most mid movie he ever made, aka just bad movie, is Inception. That movie's trash, and everybody loves that movie. Inception is the most trash movie, and I said that.
Theo's movie takes are so bad, even though he's like knowledgeable on actors, directors, and everything else, but his takes, his opinions are just wrong.
Inception, Inception is the movie that people think is good that sucks. And so basically, when South Park, like as soon I was saying this right away, and all my friends were like, "Dude, like no way." And one of my friends who thinks he knows about movies was like, he was like, "You just don't get it, bro." I was like, "Oh no, I get it. I definitely get what that movie is. It's like a dream within a dream, and then there's a train, and there's a thing in a safe." And I'm like, "Wow, this is really good, huh, guys?" And then South Park did their Inception roast, and I was like, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Pio's too good for Inception, but he watches Citizen Kane, and he's like, "This is iconic. This movie you don't get."
That movie is trash.
I'll watch.
Tenant is mid. Tenant is mid, which is kind of like Inception, but not Inception. Inception is not mid. How many people are not on Pio's page? Just want to make it very clear.
Raise your hand if you're not on Pio's page.
You guys are just mid-movie people. Tenet. So Tenet was so bad, no one saw Tenet. Like, Nick, have you seen
I didn't even
Tenet?
know that was a movie.
I saw it. It was terrible.
Exactly.
I was so confused. Like, the whole movie, I was sitting there, and, like, I left the movie. I was like, it's like, you ever take a bunch of Benadryl and just try to stay awake? That's, like, how I felt after I watched Tenet. I was just kind of, like, in this trance where I was like, ooh,
Theo, now that I know your take on Inception, I pretty much know your take on Interstellar as well.
Oh my God, Interstellar is absolute trash, and it's another Nolan movie. Interstellar is worse. Like, oh my God, the only thing good that came out of Interstellar is the meme where they put Michael Saylor on the screen talking about Bitcoin, and McConaughey's crying. Dude, Interstellar with the bookcase, and he sees his kids. Are you serious?
I don't know that I'm a big Interstellar fan, but the one for to call Inception trash is just offensive.
I'll tell you what, if you want to make Interstellar much better, I smoked with my buddy a massive blunt, went in and saw it in the movie theater. Phenomenal. Like I had, you can't understand it sober. You got to go deeper.
So check this out. Christopher Nolan filmography history. Hot Start, Memento, right? Actual good movie.
Banger.
Insomnia, actual good movie. Batman Begins, actual good movie. The Prestige, actual good movie. The Dark Knight, actual good movie. Inception starts to completely fall off the rails.
God.
The Dark Knight Rises, trash. Interstellar, trash. Dunkirk, rebound, actual good movie. Tenet sucks. Oppenheimer, we're gonna have to see. So
I did not like Dunkirk. I'll say it.
Okay,
but I'm also not a war movie guy. I watch war movies and I'm just like, like I saw Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, way more, dude. Like I've seen every single Disney movie, dude. If you've never seen dude, Up is iconic. Come on now,
I'll go cartoon movies all day.
The
movie Coco.
Soul, Coco, these movies are much better than most of the movies Christopher Nolan has made. I would argue that Christopher Nolan's success could be attributed to his British accent. I actually think that that's a huge part of his success because people want to listen to him as a director, and he can persuade American Hollywood bozos to give him these huge budgets, and then he's able to crank out a decent movie. Seems like 2 out of 3 times. 2 out of 3 times, it's a decent movie.
That's good batting, right? That's a good batting.
Don't get me wrong, it's really good. Quentin Tarantino's 10 for 10. Right, so it's a different type of dude. That's like an actual good filmmaker. But yeah, Christopher Nolan, whatever. You guys are in disbelief. Go watch Inception. See how it holds up.
Honestly, Theo's kind of winning me over. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Because I didn't think about I haven't watched Inception in a while. I don't know why. And Interstellar is starting to piss me off a little bit. So I think I'm on Theo's side.
All right, last hot take on this.
Oh,
Batman
God.
Begins is better than Batman: The Dark Knight. Just gonna.
I'm about to absolutely say.
Theo, turn the camera off.
To you.
Turn the camera off. This is Nick's show now. We're done with you today.
Just putting it out there, you can make an argument that the plot of Batman Begins is tighter than The Dark Knight. Dark Knight has Heath Ledger. Incredible performance. Gary Oldman crushing it in that one too. But there's an argument that you can make that Batman Begins has a tighter plot than The Dark Knight. And actually, if you look at the trend, since the third one completely sucks, you could make a case that the first one's the best, the second one gets a little bit worse, and then the third one's trash. So anyway,
I've literally watched every single Batman, including when Jim Carrey played the Riddler, and I sat through that. So for you to come through and say that Nolan's Dark Knight is it's worse than Batman Begins, I'm shook right now. I'm literally shook. And
Jim Carrey
was awful.
Well, Jim Carrey had an incredible performance in a movie called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's
so he does one thing good, and suddenly you give him the green light everywhere. But someone else has something that doesn't meet your expectations in another place, and it's immediate trash. I don't know. It just seems all this stuff seems unfair, and but obviously. No one's going to hold a candle because you're literally writing novels over there about your opinions on movies, basically, of which nobody's listening until this show showed up. And now everyone's suddenly like, wow, P.O.'s actually knows something about movies, basically. That's what, but up until now, P.O. just didn't have a platform in which to communicate his opinions on movies. And now suddenly this is his moment. This is the moment to shine. And what are we gonna do? Like you came to the table with an entire novel on things, and no one else is prepared for that debate, basically.
And we completely missed the breaking news that just went down.
What went down?
The SEC, DOJ, CFTC, and FTC have all sued and charged Celsius and arrested Mashinsky this morning, all in the past hour. Yeah, so basically
Change the title. Change the title, Clemente. Get on the title.
Quick, Mashinsky live.
If actually, Nick's so right. If there's anything that I know, it's that crypto Twitter's obsessed with Celsius, FTX. Like, those two stories are the best.
Just be like, title is Mashinsky arrested.
I got more breaking news on it. I got more breaking news.
FTX. Why were you using Celsius? I don't understand that.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Easy, please go ahead.
So they've named only one cryptocurrency in the lawsuit against Mashinsky as a security, and it's Celsius, CEL. No others. So that's a positive. We got to take credit for that where credit is due. But yeah, he was arrested this morning, and every single entity in the U.S. is suing or charging him with crimes from the financial sector, from insider trading, collusion, to fraud, to selling unregistered securities, and they only name CEL. Yeah, they're throwing the book at this guy.
Well, prepare, now that Clemente changed the title, prepare for 50% of the people that work at the block to just pour into this show. People from TechCrunch are coming in next because that audience just is obsessed with Celsius and BlockFi, or Celsius and FTX. That guy, Sergey Mashinsky, was always super duper sketchy.
Isn't it Alex?
Yeah, Alex.
Sorry, Alex.
Was that racism?
Why? Because I'm just saying all Russian dudes have the same name.
You're like, give me a break. Natasha Mashinsky. Like you're just like throwing it out.
Sergey, Sasha, Alex. Come on, man. Look, I live in Brooklyn. What do you want? You think I've never met guys named Sasha, Sergey, and Alex? Come on.
There's a lot of Polacks.
Dude, there's a lot of drama going down this morning, too. We also got Richard Hart, the individual from Pulse Chain and Hex, now coming out that he was giving 700% increased APYs on the Pulse Chain without backing it to anything. So, dude, today's electric for these organizations that just spin up hot garbage and just hope it doesn't collapse. And yet we still got Kyle Davies and Suzu running rampant, launching a brand new crypto exchange. Don't tell me we're not having fun yet.
They made it to Dubai.
Yeah, they got out. They hopped on that first flight out.
Well, I mean, this is a big story. It's interesting to see it take as long as it has. What do you guys think that this actually means? Like the fact that they didn't name any other securities, or Nick, go ahead.
Well, who actually cares about Celsius is the first question. Because
people that work at the block.
Well, and the reality was the whole pitch of Celsius, right, was they were going direct to consumer to provide high yield deposits, basically, that you could put money in a similar way to Gemini Earn, of which we still haven't received our money back. But what they were doing was they were saying, hey, here's like 10% interest that you can make on your deposits, earn money, placing it in here. I don't know if it was USD deposits were earning that much.
USD.
Or
it was USD deposits.
So they were paying interest on USD, and it was kind of one giant Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah, if you added your USD, you would get interest on me adding my USD to it. And they just basically hope, like, so I wouldn't say it was like this, like a traditional pyramid. It was more inverted, where it was like a funnel system, where if you like shape it upwards down, they call it the reverse pyramid. And basically, as long as more people kept depositing money, it would never collapse. But all of a sudden, people stopped depositing money, and we watched it fall apart.
And was that around the same time as FTX? And basically,
like almost. It was like right before, but it was very close. You had basically like the Luna Terra situation go down, then Celsius, then FTX, all within like a 3 to 4 month span.
So this guy was giving people 10% yield and just putting their money into Luna and pocketing 10%. He's like, I'm a genius.
Yeah, he was just ripping Anchor. That was it, just cooking.
One thing that's clear, if you want to run a Ponzi scheme, offer 10%. That's basically the standard that you want to be offering in order to launch a Ponzi scheme, where it's risk-free 10%. Now, when the government does it at 6% or 9%, it's not a Ponzi scheme. But when an individual launches it at 10%, you want to watch out, because I think that that's the same amount that Bernie Madoff was offering people, was 10% annual yield, essentially. Or effectively, that was like, it may have varied from month to month, so it wasn't very clear. But yeah, 10%, that's the path forward. I may have to set up a business myself and offer people 10%. Like
no, 11.6. We got to beat the others. We got to try. You got to get that flywheel cycle in early, and we can tailor it back after. Nick, we'll hop on a call. We'll discuss the logistics behind this, but don't air it out yet.
All right.
Well, we'll have to, follow this story. I mean, the only people that care about it are crypto journalists, but we'll cover it a little bit. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. We have to talk about Ether's art reveal, and we have to talk about some of the sales that we've seen on, Crypto Funks, for example, had a little bit of a run. I do want to make everyone aware that today's show is sponsored by Iconic Moments. You heard me talking about Iconic Moments yesterday and throughout the week. It is their third time actually partnering with us. We are incredibly excited to have them back, and they are introducing Beyond the Edge, the Jackson Pollock Studio Collection, which is a limited edition print and digital art series that celebrates the life and groundbreaking technique of the Jackson Pollock. So they worked with the Jackson Pollock Studio to essentially offer a glimpse into the lost edges of Pollock's masterpieces. So we're going to dive deep into that so you can understand exactly what we mean by that. But the collection is designed to capture the energy, color palette, and of course, the iconic drip technique that defines Pollock's work. There's only 125 editions available for each print and digital art release. So it's a very, very exclusive collection. If you're an art collector, obviously you don't want to miss the opportunity to own a piece of art history. The prints will be stamped and hand numbered by the official Jackson Pollock Studio. to provide a tangible connection to the artistic legend. Iconic moment art pass holders have VIP access to the collection. They'll also be allowing Can You Dig It holders, if you remember, we talked about that on the show a few months back, and other select communities to join the allow list for this exclusive release. We're also actually going to be giving away a piece from the collection on our show next week. Very, very, very exciting. Through our platform, by the way. Very exciting. So if you want to enter yourself for a chance to win an allow list spot in the pre-mint link pinned to the top, just take a look at that pinned tweet, and we're going to be talking about that more later on in the show. Getting into the weather report, and we're going to be hearing from the team at Iconic Moments later on in the show, by the way, also. So stick around for that for sure to learn about this, kick-ass drop in collaboration with the Jackson Pollock studio. Signal, we have a little bit of weather that we have to cover. How's it going?
Yeah, going good, guys. Going good. Today is Thursday, the 13th of July. Total market volume coming in at 18.6 million. Blur taking that lion's share, as usual, at 12.8, with OpenSea down at 3.7. Onto leaders, not a huge amount of change overnight. We've got Apes at holding above 30 at 33.7. Mutants just hovering around 6.4. Punks staying above 50 for now. D-Gods holding 9.1 after that fresh wallet sweep yesterday. You got Azuki just shy of 7 at 6.8, while Captain's holding 5 as we go into the airdrop, and Pudgy's at 3.7. Over the past 24 hours, the Ether Dutch auction that minted out at 0.3. The art so far has received mixed reactions. You got people like Pranksy who opened 100 capsules saying that the art is captivating and the collection is a market underdog, while others are fudding the art, saying that the collection is too busy to be a PFP. We got the revealed at 0.2 and the unrevealed at 0.32. Over on Polygon, and Polygon has proposed converting the Matic token into Polygon Pol. That would be its new name. This is going to be a token that is capable of being staked across multiple chains within the Polygon ecosystem. If the community if the community say that this will pass, Matic holders will have 4 years to be able to change over into the new token. Over in art, Snowfro has minted 81 fresh new squiggles, which will be given to community members that have had incredible value over time. We're getting to the final mint corner now, having all the squiggles out in the world. Still a few to go, but squiggles holding a 10 ETH floor. And then lastly, our very own owner, Elon Musk, has announced the debut of a new artificial intelligence company called XAI. It has the goal of understanding the true nature of the universe, whatever that means. We find out what that means on Friday in a live Twitter Spaces chat with him and the rest of the team. Over in crypto, is looking pretty steady. You got BTC at 30k, ETH in the high 1800s, Solana still holding at 22 and 8 at 1.8. Seeing certain people talk about incoming god candles on BTC and ETH. Let's see what happens in crypto. For now, pretty stable. So it's back to you folks.
Fantastic weather report as usual, Signal. Some other updates from the Nifty Daily Digest, which is the daily newsletter published at thenifty.com. You need to have an account at thenifty.com for the newsletter and the free NFTs that we give away almost every day on this show. We'll be giving one away later on today. Google Play has announced a significant policy change allowing developers to incorporate digital assets such as NFTs into their apps and games, provided they disclose the use of blockchain-based elements and do not promote potential earnings from playing or trading activities. So we'll have to see if this has any impact on Apple's approach to the Apple Store. Other story, 2 wallets tagged as belonging to the U.S. government and linked to the Silk Road seizure of crypto have moved over $300 million worth of Bitcoin in 3 separate transactions, causing a brief drop in Bitcoin's price, which has since recovered. Got to wonder what's going on there. Anyway, getting into the meat and potatoes of today's discussion, first story is Ether has sold out and revealed their collection. So this was a hyped up mint. Hadn't really seen one of these hyped up mints in a little while in the Ethereum NFT ecosystem. And yesterday they took a snapshot and airdropped an additional extra capsule to all eligible holders and did a Dutch auction for the rest of the supply. The Dutch auction sold out at 0.3 Ethereum. The total, revenue generation from the primary sale for the team behind Ether was $2 million. Not bad for a bear market. Sentiment on Twitter was mixed on the actual art. Some thought that it was too busy. Others declared that they thought it was the best art they'd seen for a profile picture. Have to think that those that were declaring that owned it. Have to think so. I've been around the block here in the NFT space. What do we make of this reveal, the way things played out, and the future of Ether?
Easy. You go first, dude. I know you're a big anime guy.
Die hard. I've never missed an episode of Pokemon. Big anime guy. Huge anime guy. I think that there was a lot of speculation back and forth on it where like some people love it, some people hate it. Some people say it was better than any other anime art. Some people complained about the layering issues. You had like swords going through necks on some, and some traits were just too busy. Like that's one of the key things when you have like hyper detailed stuff is that you run into a situation where stuff's really, really busy when you have a bunch of like high, I guess, quote, quality traits where there's just a lot of stuff going on. And that kind of detracts from the PFP itself. But I'm a fan of the Ether team. Not a huge fan of how they did this kind of rollout where they cut supply, went to a Dutch auction, and had all these moving parts. You just saw Azuki induce this massive FOMO with 10-minute min windows. And if anything, like you could have just pulled a page from that book where you were like, all right, we're switching it up. We're going to do allow list right into whitelist phase, right into public mint, and just let it fly. And I think that you'd have seen much different price action on this. I really like the corrupted ones, which are like their spirit versions. Popcan from the Nifty Discord actually pulled the current rank 1, which is a corrupted with a hoodie. Yeah, it's like this green one with a hoodie on it. It's pretty badass.
Like the most rare
current
Ether?
most rare reveal one, yeah.
Oh,
right
wow.
Yeah, so these are like their corrupted ones, these are pretty crazy. It's like their iteration of a spirit. The metadata like isn't supposed to load. It's just like a cool take on something that new here.
Dude, if you make that your profile pic, dude, might as well make it a black circle, dude. No one's gonna even be able to like decipher that.
Hey, listen,
this shit looks whack. Okay, this is like
I'm going on mute. Have fun.
We appreciate that nuanced take, Easy. But let's be honest, this was just a wild disappointment. I think the entire NFT market, look at the price action. It's just down. But to be fair, everything just goes straight down. So that's the way this market works.
Yeah.
I don't know. This was a disappointing reveal. They've had a lot of stumbles in this process. You know, one thing I will say, it's just difficult launching a PFP project. And the one thing that I think goes against, isn't this project like the team? Are they doxxed?
Yeah. Well, they got doxxed.
One of them was not. One of them got doxxed by an individual who was upset after supposedly not getting a allow list. Ended up doxing one of the people and said he had the right to dox him because he went to Azuki Vegas and showed his face, and then did not dox the other individual because he did not go to Azuki Vegas. So
the fact that there's any controversy over doxing people is the most ludicrous part. We're in it's now late 2023. So, or later.
Second half.
Okay. Late may be a little bit debatable, but middle of 2023, let's call it. And we're still having a conversation about anonymous project founders, which to me is just so ludicrous. I don't know. I can't trust the team that has to go anonymous. I understand the whole mystique thing, but like it's possible to be mysterious without everyone not knowing who you are.
Well, I think we'll definitely see successful anonymous projects continue to happen, maybe even like super big ones in the future. I think that if you're going to be anonymous, though, you shouldn't show up to a party and everyone knows who you are, because that's not anonymous. You know, then you can't really be surprised. It's like, oh, I got doxxed. I wonder what happened. Well, you showed up to a fucking party in Vegas, dude. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy the project sold out. I mean, that good for them, right? A little bit of a choppy road. I got a little pushback when I said that Azuki rushed their release to front run Ether and take that liquidity. I don't know. I think when you look at the market right now, I think they probably did that. And that was a smart move because there's probably a lot of overlap between people that like anime projects. Not really my style for the anime stuff. I'm really looking forward to PFP projects that have, more on the roadmap than just the picture itself. Else, then you got to be like, okay, is this worth X amount of dollars for me to rock it as my profile pick, or do I think I can like flip it for a trade? I just feel like there's a lot of anime stuff out there, but now they got the money. Now they can execute their vision, their roadmap, whatever they had. They can prove the haters wrong. So yeah, if you're a holder or on the team, you know, best of luck. You got the sellout, so now it's to the build-or phase.
I'm kind of curious, Bunny. What's your take on this project?
I mean, I like the art. I think they're a little bit too busy for a PFP. So I think like even though it's like high quality art, I know there's like some like they don't work as a PFP. I don't know. Obviously, it seems like they would have been better off launching like a long time ago. I don't know if the art wasn't ready. I don't know. They got a bumpy road, man. They still raised a good amount of money, so I don't think like it would shock me if they had some success.
How much did they raise exactly? Anybody?
$2 million.
Yeah.
And what's their sort of stated vision here?
Hell yeah, brother.
The one that Clemente just had on the screen. Clemente, if you want to pull that back up, and look, I'm not trying to like light art on fire here.
Man, fuck this space. Like this is complete bullshit. You go with an anonymous person, everyone's not like, oh, what's the utility? They just throw money at that shit. Once you like come out and you're like, hey, I'm doing something, I'm here every day. They're like, yo, but what's the utility? And you're
Nick, why don't you just put a loaf of bread in your mouth?
Go on Amazon, the 2-day sale bullshit they have.
Prime Day.
Yeah, and go get some utility if you want that. And it only costs like $50. You can go get a monitor at a discount that's already discounted at that price because apparently consumers are just largely stupid. Okay? Like, I don't understand. Prime Day is an entire scam, almost as bad as this project. This project is bullshit.
Okay.
No, just straight up. Like, I'm tired of this nonsense. They should have come out and said they were an artist that was doing this, but instead there's mystery around it, and the community is going to do something. What are they going to do with $2 million that's going to surprise everybody, basically, after having like one disastrous like misstep after the next? With all this hype that can possibly meet the expectations of this market? The answer is nothing. That's why the price is what it is right now, is because no one expects anything to come out of this project. I'm sure that the team is great. Maybe they have a ton of experience, but this is just complete nonsense. I've had enough of this, this sort of garbage making it into this space where we're just like, we're supposed to have a nuanced conversation about someone just coming out here and selling bullshit, and everyone's just like, oh yeah, this is all good. We got Jackson Pollock offering real art, and there's like, and we're busy looking at, we're looking at this thing being like, now like let's really decode this and figure out what the future of this project is. It's trash. If you're owning this thing, you deserve to lose your money. I'm just saying straight up right now, because these people are completely anonymous. They have no idea, like there's no intention of what they're doing. They made one misstep after the next, and you think that this price is going to go up? Get the hell out of here. You deserve to lose all of your money.
Oh, good Lord. We got 9 Hour Nick not holding any punches back. That's why you came to this show, ladies and gentlemen. You came here for 9 Hour Nick, and don't act like you didn't.
If you want me to ruin all of the relationships in this space, I will, because that's literally what's happened so far with this show by me speaking my mind. The one thing I will say real quick, I said that, I had said some negative things about creeps in the past. Turns out they have some of the most diamond-handed community. I saw some tweet the other day about how diamond-handed they are. And they've started releasing some things. So props to them. Like if there's one project that I think I've given a hot take on that may have the potential of being redeemed here, I would say it's creeps. And but other than that, the vast majority of these projects are really not doing a damn thing. And I think the bigger issue, and maybe they have the right approach. Here's a hot or something to think about. The NFT community spends $100 on something, and they suddenly expect you to provide communication on a daily basis of what's going on. You can't buy a stock of Apple for that much, and you're not getting any communication from the CEO until it's presentation day, basically. Like whenever presentation day is happening and they've perfectly crafted it, then that goes down. In the interim, you're not hearing shit, basically. And I think that the NFT space, maybe the mistake that's been going on is all those people that have been asking for communication are just completely wrong and should just exit the space because they bought all their NFTs on credit cards. And I think that that's what's really going on in the space, is that there's a lot of people that are able to make a quote investment in something that shouldn't be able to. Like, they just shouldn't be allowed to. Instead, they should go buy a product from Amazon that is not actually at a discount, but is being marketed by Amazon as though it is. So I think that that's the situation that we're dealing with. Anyways, enough for that.
Well, real quick, I want to go to Bunny, and then I want to make one comparison on this. But Bunny, you have your hand raised. What's going on?
Yeah, speaking of Nick being wrong, I just wanted to remind him that Invisible Friends are at 1 ETH floor.
There you go. That's
I'm not taking back my position on that. I'm saying that's the mystery of the NFT market. That's all that I'm saying there. It's invisible execution from an invisible project.
At least that is a 100% art focused project. And we talked about the liquidity on some of the Kith collab items that are on StockX. Real quick, I asked Clemente to pull up Kiwami, Kiwami. It was an anime
on StockX, or is there liquidity?
Yeah, we were talking about, I think, that was maybe the morning that you came to the show a little bit late. But yeah, we were looking at all the sales on the StockX.
That's
Kith
awesome.
Magic. Oh no, it's incredible.
Good job, Invisible Friends, on a great partnership with Kith.
Yeah, no, straight up. But I want to bring up this one. So this Kiwami project, I want to say got as high as 1.5 Ethereum.
Is there a reason you selected that one?
Clemente. So this is at a 0.02 ETH floor. And I feel like when this came out, we were skeptical of whether it would be like a long-standing, strong project in the space when it was sitting at 1 ETH or more. And I do remember people being furious that we dare question the validity of the Kiwami project. And now it's sitting there at a 0.02 ETH floor. So I just bring it up to point out that the likelihood of a project having a trajectory like this in this space is quite high. So that's just something I wanted to frame up.
I feel
for
like
everybody.
that's like $40 for a profile pick that like you own. I feel like that's a fair price.
Well, when there isn't going to be anything that comes out, then yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Nick, you want to add something?
No, I just think you're spot on by using this project as an example. They're like, I don't know. We went through this cycle. Remember how the way that women were treated in the gaming industry? Do you remember anything about this? And then now we're back doing the same thing in the NFT space with like busty women that are like in cartoon pictures here. I don't know. The whole situation. Let's take a shot moment, by the way, on the Nifty morning show. But in terms of the quality of art here, I just feel like this stuff is trash. It's not my vibe. I understand you can go buy pervy comics from a comic store, but like, do you need to spend? Would you rather spend $1,500 on it or own literally every comic in the comic store? And I'm gonna say, like, if I'm going one of those two directions, I'd rather just own every comic. That's a much better approach.
Well, speaking of art, we got a very special someone joining the show, Nodarino. What's going on, Node?
Thank you for having me back. It's been a minute, and you want to know what happened. If everyone's been asking me a lot of DMs over the last 6 months, and the reason why I am no longer on the show is because of Clemente. Clemente pushed me out. He pushed me out, man. As soon as he showed up, he remembered the beef that I had with Ryan Carson, and it was over, dude. I got knocked out of the show, dude. Knocked out.
Wow. I never thought that we were going to publicly air out the reason why, but that's 100% true. It's because of Clemente. Clemente, ladies and gentlemen, is a relentless, he's like a warlord producer. And he's like, it's either me or Node. And I was like, whoa.
He is a known major supporter of Ryan Carson, and I'll add Moonbirds. Big Moonbirds fan from Clemente. Huge fan of Proof because Ryan once worked there. But I stand with Node.
We're gonna get shirts made that we stand with Node. No, Node's been having fun acting like I've been like stopping him from coming on the show. I love having Node on the show, and it's really exciting to have him back today. Nick was just calling out some PFP art, as I know you like to refer to PFPs. Node, what's going on the art side of the NFT market?
Oh, it's all way better than the PFP side, as you are well aware. I think Easy already mentioned this, right? The Chromie Squiggles, or maybe it was Signal in her weather report, but Snowfro just minted out a bunch of Chromie Squiggles, and one of them was it was either a full spectrum or a perfect spectrum. I can't remember, but that was awesome to see. And obviously, the art side of the market's been holding up quite well, I would say, in comparison to PFPs. So that's my thesis is slowly playing out. I'm only down half as bad as the rest of you, which is fantastic.
Well, fantastic. And, we're pumped to have you here. And I'll just take a moment to mention, Node came to actually support us today with our sponsor of today's show, Iconic Moments. So you've heard me talking about this today and throughout this week. This is a very rare opportunity in the NFT space. Dare I say, I think that this could set precedents for sure. This is for the Beyond the Edge release from the Jackson Pollock Studio Collection. Okay, that's the Jackson Pollock. So this collection is designed to go beyond the canvas and actually showcase the edges of Jackson Pollock's renowned paintings that fell onto his studio floor. So it's designed to help you experience the raw energy, the vibrant colors, and the distinctive style of Pollock's work in a way that you've never seen before. So there's going to be only 425 physical prints and 425 matching digital NFTs available. It's a very, very exclusive release. Each physical print is museum quality. It's hand numbered and it's stamped with authenticity. The collection your collection, I should say, will include a physical print mailed directly to you along with the NFT. So Iconic Moments Art Pass holders, that's available on OpenSea right now. You can buy that on the secondary right now. They enjoy VIP access to this collection, and they're extending the opportunity to anybody that's holding the Can You Dig It collection and select other communities to join the allow list. So don't miss your chance to own a fragment of Pollock's artistic artifact. You can enter for a chance to win an allow list spot in the pre-mint link pinned to the Twitter Spaces on Twitter right now. Clemente has the tweet pinned. And you can also have a chance to actually win one of the NFTs on our show next week through our NFT platform. So that's definitely some exciting stuff. So we have a lot more to talk about in the NFT space, and then we are going to talk with our sponsor from Iconic Moments. But I wanted to mention, I was looking at my NFT wallet last night, and I actually found, I didn't realize this, I owned a 10 KTF G tag. So I didn't realize that I bought one like months ago. Like,
you
maybe
still own it?
I sold it. Because let me tell you, as soon as I saw it, I looked at the liquidity. The liquidity on that ERC 1155 is so limited. And I knew today was, the big day for it. And I saw people that I respect in the NFT space that are traders and 10 KTF fans with theirs listed near the floor. So I was like, I've watched this movie before. It was up from where I bought it, because I bought it, I feel like, when Easy talked about it on buy, sell, or send it to zero. So that was like a pleasant surprise. And I offloaded it immediately. But we'll have to see what comes of that one. Easy, what other stuff are you looking at in the NFT space today?
Today, not too much. I'm still watching Vessels primarily. Vessels and Other Side Expanded are like my two consistent plays that I keep harping on, because I think that watching the heavy metal price action shows that as the game rolls out and more interactivity comes in, that price action trends positively. So those are the main things that I'm kind of watching here, is like what happens and where it happens with Vessels, and maybe even some of those associated collections become more interesting for whatever the Legends of Mara rolls out. I do think I want to go with more of an approach on like all three of the Vessels for a single Other Side land. I'm really curious to see kind of like what shapes up for how the game works, because Heavy Metals had a nice run, almost 2x off their lows from the Everything's Dead Saturday we saw about 2 weeks ago.
And real quick, I want to acknowledge this happens all the time, I think, with new listeners. People think that I was Nick during Nick's takes. So if you're listening on Twitter, even though all the voices are coming through my face, it's multiple people. So when Signal speaks with a British accent and a female voice, that's not also me. I just want to make sure everybody understands this.
Say, though.
Hey, it's P.O. here. I just wanted to say all projects suck.
When people tweet, they're like, yo, P.O. with the savage take. I'm like, you got to understand, I'm not 7 people. Okay, so that's just something that I need to, and also not English and American at the same time.
My name is Pio, and I hate NFTs.
Okay, all right, there we go. Okay, got it. So look, Clemente, you got this segment, The Price is Right. Do you want to walk us through what this segment is?
Yeah, Pio.
Yeah, so we had yesterday we had a CryptoPunk, an alien CryptoPunk. I believe it is number 5905. It was listed for 5,000 ETH, roughly 9.3 million, and it's the lowest listed alien that we've seen in a while. Last alien sale was February of 2022 when Punk number 5822 was bought for 8,000 ETH or $23 million. So we're seeing over a 50% decrease in the price for these alien punks. And lots of people think that another big sale might be coming for the alien punks, but we're playing a little Price is Right. What do you think this punk will go for? Because there's two kind of people going at it right now, trying to get the lowest alien punk listing.
Well, I mean, putting prices on these high-priced illiquid assets is tough. Nick, you were shaking your head.
Let's call this segment "Pull a Random Number Out of a Hat."
I think 6.9 million.
420.
All right. Well, that's a cool segment, guys. That's the end of The Price is Right, ladies and gentlemen. 420 and 69 are your answers for today.
Ladies and gentlemen, so if in case you don't know what's going on, so it's a kind of an inside joke a little bit. So Clemente does his best to come up with clever and fun segments for the show, and I'd say at this
5
point,
ETH is my number. 5 ETH. Not like a dollar more.
There's like a 60 to 80% chance that any new segment is mocked by Nick live on the show when it's rolled out.
Sorry. I want to apologize, Clemente. I want to apologize. Like, let's do the next one. But this. No,
it's just this one. This morning, I was like, okay, we're not gonna let's not just talk about CryptoPunk number 5905. How can we make it fun? The fact that it was listed. Hey, let's make it The Price is Right. And
so the story is that the alien got listed. What's the US dollar value it's listed at?
$9.35 million.
And what was the last sale of an alien at?
It was $22 million back in February of 2022, or 8,000 ETH.
Well, that ain't happening.
That's not gonna. Is that the Silly Tuna sale?
No, Silly Tuna was 11 million. There was one that followed after that. Silly Tuna was it shows currently at 10.5 or sorry 15 mil. No, 15,
and I just want to say my $6.9 million was like my actual guess, because that is a very memeable number in this space, and it's lower than the asking price, which is 9 million. I feel like 6.9 is a nice bear market buy.
There is actually a Nouns proposal in the Nouns DAO to bid on the alien. So there's a chance that if that passes, they buy the alien punk, which would be pretty interesting.
They have that
I don't know what else
money?
they're doing with their treasury, so that could be cool.
Dude, they passed everything, man. We were reading some of these proposals that got pushed through recently, and I think they have 54 million in Nouns DAO, if I remember.
Wow!
But they funded a wet wipes, a Nouns wet wipes. They did Nouns condoms. They funded they did a global pizza party. They spent $30K on a global pizza party for Bitcoin Pizza Day.
Wow. I mean, they have, so Clemente has it pulled up. It looks like the current value of the treasury, it's held in ETH. It's 53.5 million. Was this this is not the group that got wrecked because they kept everything in ETH throughout the whole bull market, was it?
They only leave it in ETH.
Okay. So was them.
It's like, I mean, yeah, theoretically, like obviously if ETH was 5K right now, that number would be almost 2x. But all the auctions and for Nouns and Lil Nouns go into that in ETH, and the treasury is entirely in a multi-sig in ETH. And that's how they handle everything for the DAO. Like, it's like when people say like your group chat is a DAO, that's not a DAO. This is a DAO. Many of the people who hold these assets are literally anonymous and just vote on proposals. And they actually have a decent retention rate of like participation too. I'm fascinated by Nouns. I think it's like one of the really cool things.
Luca has a proposal with
Nouns
DAO right now. Yeah, for like a toy collab.
Yeah, so it'll be launching in December if it passes. A Nouns toy collab. I believe it would also be on Network. Yeah, and you can actually see that it's currently 119 for, 54 against, and it looks like it's going to pass if it reaches the threshold. And then in that proposal too, the Pudgy's treasury would have to buy a noun. So they'll end up officially getting into the nouns DAO. They'd launch a Pudgy toy with the glasses on it. I think 2 different colorways for it. But I really like this whole setup because like you can see the full proposal right on the site and actually understand like what's going on here. And they also did a content video where you had to make a sub 5-minute video about nouns. And you saw a lot of people that were pretty big on YouTube participate, and they gave away 10K to whoever got the most views. I think Tolly, really good editor that makes a bunch of quality content, posted a video and made it to the final 3. I don't know if he won, but it was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, it sounds like there's going to be a nouns Pudgy toy. Seems like that's a foregone conclusion based on how those votes are shaping up. So that'll be cool to see. I also think that that's, I mean, look, I can get behind that 1,000%. Like, and I'll be curious to see how that 54 million is spent. I mean, someone said a movie, that's not a joke. Like you can make a crazy movie for 20 million bucks, you know, like that's a significant amount of money. So yeah, we'll have to see how that shakes out. Any other thoughts on this alien CryptoPunk? I think Kix's $6.9 million number is an interesting one. I think it's going to take time for liquidity to get there. However, if we are on the cusp of the next crypto cycle, the months will start to fly by, and all of a sudden, I think you'll see really high sales on CryptoPunks. This is CryptoPunks, the #1 NFT collection that we're talking about. Nick's got his hand in the air. Nick, what are you celebrating?
The future price ascension of CryptoPunks.
Send him to 0.
Okay, well, hey, is there a little bit of resentment there, Clemente? We can talk about it.
But by the way, I just got a DM. This is not a joke. And I will pull this up on screen. Someone said, watching the show with a delay, as in he started late. Fully agree with you. Inception, and then in all caps, is trash. Good to have someone go public with this take, finally. Then he said, OMG, and Batman Begins is also better than Dark Knight. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say, all right? That's all I'm going to say. Someone had to say it.
Gives Pio a little bit of a pat on the back, and he's like, the entire world sides with me. This is the best movie experience in the world. Screw Inception. It's terrible. And on that note, I'm seeing the Barbie movie next weekend.
I didn't go that far. I'll see the Oppenheimer because 2 out of the 3 movies are good. The ones I named aren't. Okay, so we got Let's Go Macro. What do you think of that for the name of a segment, Nick?
Well, it sounds more promising. So let's see what it is.
Let's Go Macro. We're talking about de-dollarization. And we're going to talk to Easy about this because Easy was recently tweeting about the weakening of the US dollar and how his trade to Singaporean dollars has been panning out. Others were tweeting that recent pumps in Bitcoin's price in other countries weren't seen. It was simply the devaluation of the US dollar being reflected in the price. Easy, what do you make of this?
Oh, man. To all the haters out there commenting on the YouTube short. And we could probably, even if we wanted, pull up the chart today because that candle on the weekly is even significantly higher than it was yesterday for the Singaporean dollar because the DXY index is officially under 100, currently sitting at 99.97. Its high before the money printer went burr was all the way up to 113. For the last 2 to 3 months, I've been aggressively talking about the de-dollarization and the destabilization of the US dollar from a global scale and in the fact that it's losing its global reserve status. I'm adamant about this. I've been yelling from the high tops and everyone's screaming at me, you're an idiot. The dollar will never lose its reserve status. Shut up, bozo. And sure enough.
Are they saying that to you?
Oh, dude, you should see the YouTube comments on the shorts on my videos. They're like, you're wrong. You're an idiot. Like the dollar's never going anywhere. I don't think it goes anywhere. But I do think that the dollar becomes worth less than it was yesterday.
Easy was right, and now he's up 5%. So congratulations on that, Easy, dude. You're printing cash.
Just keep watching the dollar going down and watch my sweat equity, and the Singaporean dollar continue to trend higher. Nick, look at the Singaporean dollar chart and tell me it's not bullish. That thing looks majestic.
I understand that the Singaporean dollar looks bullish. The distinction is when you're trading foreign currency, you better be leveraged like heavily because
you need
those
like
things
2000x leverage on this damn thing.
Yeah, because Those things barely move. Like it moves like 1%. Everyone's like, holy shit.
He's gonna be up $4 this time next year.
Yeah, well,
No way, baby.
My thing is like, why don't you just buy Bitcoin? That's like, I can't like get past that. I don't understand why you'd buy Singaporean dollars over Bitcoin. Clemente, you just had a comment from the Twitter. So ladies and gentlemen, Easy had a short where he was explaining this Singaporean dollar thesis. Catch a little bit of fire on YouTube Shorts. It has over 100,000 views. And when you get that many views on a video, there's a lot of comments. And it looks like 2 weeks ago, someone said, as a Singaporean, I have no clue what this man is talking about. Just a bunch of buzzwords. Our currency is good and healthy, but that's about it. It might have a place in a currency portfolio that maybe would be a useful way to hedge or minimize exposure to your home currency fluctuations. But only a fool would buy Singaporean currency as an investment. There's fundamentally not enough economic power here to bolster its value. The only way for you to make money in SGD is for other currencies to fall. That's about it. There is no long thesis.
Though.
That's literally my thesis. Thank you. That's the exact thesis. It's a hedge against the dollar. Sounds like that person's not a patriot. Sounds like they don't believe in their own country's wealth. And personally, I don't for the US dollar.
That is one of the best comments I've ever seen on our YouTube channel because
really well thought out. Well thought out. Articulated great. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Super duper funny. Okay, well, regardless, I mean, we had Alex Gladstein on the Bitcoin show on Tuesday talking about de-dollarization. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better explanation and analysis of it and how Bitcoin fits into it globally. It was a fantastic conversation. He did not bring up Singaporean dollars, I will say. That is not something that he brought up. Note, have you been stacking Bitcoin throughout this little bear market we're in?
No. I did. Okay. I did buy, I own one Bitcoin, which is up from owning zero.
Okay.
So I that's it. And I would be stacking, but I need to be making cash in order to stack. Right. So that's the challenge. I'm already mostly all in ETH and NFTs. So that's, I've made my bets. I placed them. One Bitcoin, ETH, a little bit of Sol, a little bit of Matic, and a little bit of Lido, and then a lot of Bodagos. So,
and if you don't know, Node famously locked a bunch of Ethereum up in a ledger and then taped it and then wrote on the tape, "Do not open this for 5 years." How's that going?
I opened it once, but only to claim my Arbitrum airdrop. So that was that. Yeah, that was good. And I said I was going to open it when ETH hits 15K, which I'm going to revise that number down a little bit probably. But yeah, I have not touched it, and I'm not going to until.
I like the strategy. I think it's super smart. And if I'm correct, you like kind of loaded that all in back when we were down in like the $1,200 range. So
correct. Yeah, so that's my cost basis on it right now. So yeah, I mostly did it so that I wouldn't spend it all on NFTs is exactly why. So far it's working out well for me.
Well, that's how it works. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk to today's sponsor, Iconic Moments. So we have Chris from the Iconic team on YouTube for the third time on the show overall. Chris, how's it going?
It's going well, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. We are incredibly excited about this. And, since you first brought this up to us, we've been very excited. This is for the Beyond the Edge, the Jackson Pollock Studio Collection. So before we dive all in on this Pollock collection, can you talk a little bit about what Iconic Moments is and a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's good to be back on the show. Good to see you, Pio. Good to see you, Nick, and Signal and everyone. And Iconic Moments is a digital art platform that partners with cultural institutions, that could be museums, it could be national monuments, art estates, to help bridge kind of the traditional art world and the digital art world together. Often we're doing collaborations with digital artists with traditional institutions. Our first example of that was Linda Dunya reinterpreting Alma Thomas's work with the White House Historical Association in the Grails 2 release. Or a release with the Universal Hip Hop Museum, for example, that's being built in the heart of New York, will open in 2025. And there we worked with Machio 135 to do a generative art release that was merging graffiti with the turntables transcription method to create, a brand new collection that'll go into the permanent collection of the Universal Hip Hop Museum, while also telling the history and story of hip hop. So for us, we work with institutions all around the world in the space. And you can imagine museums have a tendency to move pretty slow. They're very, very kind of like trusted, but old and a little bit antiquated. And so we really focus on kind of being that trusted solution for those organizations.
Awesome. And I've always enjoyed hearing about your background. You come from the traditional art world. Can you discuss a little bit about your background before Web3 and then maybe how you got into Web3?
Yeah, I've lived a bunch of lives. So, I've been building technology companies now for over 15 years. That span from an e-learning platform that we built and scaled all the way to a solution for the sports industry. It used to be a federal public defender back in the day. But we've been working with the museum and art industry now for close to a decade. And so for us, we were building kind of digital exhibition solutions for museums. And then, can you guys hear me? It looks like I got a little bit of lag here.
We got you back.
All right, perfect. And then we saw COVID-19 just crush the museum industry, right? Like 94% of museums around the world closed at the exact same time. 50% of museums in the US became at risk of closing permanently, 35% around the world. And for us, that we looked at the model behind culture and said, why do our institutions that hold on to billions of dollars of art and are so important, why are they so at risk? And it's because they only know how to engage and drive revenue in person. And so for us, we really look at Iconic as building this entire digital arm for the culture industry. How can you engage someone around the world that may never physically come to your museum? How can you offer them a unique piece of art and an experience? And how can we create digital revenue streams for these institutions that create more sustainability?
Awesome. It's so fascinating to, hear about how you've gone from the traditional art world to the Web3 world. And obviously this collection that we've been talking about, Beyond the Edge, the Jackson Pollock Studio Collection. This is, of course, renowned fine artist Jackson Pollock, legend, top 10 selling artist in the world, I believe, according to the traditional art world. So we talked about the logistics of this drop, 4 pieces with 125 editions each, the digital and physical component. But what should people know about the Jackson Pollock Studio Collection drop?
Yeah, so the Jackson Pollock Studio is the Jackson Pollock Studio and the Jackson Pollock House and Study Center. So this is where Jackson Pollock and Lee Krasner lived, and this is where he painted all of his great masterworks from 1946 to 1952. Pollock painted in the studio, and he painted everything from Convergence to Autumn Rhythm, Blue Poles, number 3, number 5. We're looking just in terms of appraised value of art probably painted in this tiny studio at several $1 billion worth of art, which is crazy to think about, right? Yeah. And so when Pollock painted, he painted on his studio floor. And he would throw paint. And when he threw paint intentionally, right, in terms of like composing his pieces, he didn't throw it just on the canvas, right? He threw it with intention, but the art itself would be thrown off the edge. And so the studio floor is considered today one of the most important art artifacts in the entire world. And the Jackson Pollock Studio in the house is a national landmark. And the funny thing is it was lost to time for about 30 years after his death until it was rediscovered in the 80s. And there's this great New York Times article about its rediscovery. And so for us, we wanted to really be able to bring a unique art artifact to life. So in this instance, we worked to be able to digitize the entire Jackson Pollock studio floor. We took over 800 photos that were then using artificial intelligence to stitch these photos together, and then worked with our team of art advisors and curators to be able to select 4 perspectives from the studio floor that are beyond the edges of some of Pollock's greatest works. That is Convergent. So Jackson Pollock Studio 2 here comes from the edge of Convergence. Jackson Pollock Studio 3 comes from the edge of number 3, and Jackson Pollock Studio floor features prominently one of the blue poles in Pollock's blue poles work. And so for this release, you have a unique opportunity to own one of the most important art artifacts in history, to have something that's really never been seen before. For us, we find that a lot more interesting than just simply reissuing a work that's already been created. And in this release, we'll actually be doing limited edition, hand numbered and embossed prints from the Jackson Pollock Studio, in addition to the NFTs, which will unlock an entire ecosystem of both digital collaborations about Pollock and other releases we'll talk about.
I mean, incredible. And, you know, just to kind of make sure everyone is processing this. So basically this is the studio that Pollock was painting his masterpieces, right? That have gone on to sell for, you know, so much money in the traditional art world. Convergence, you mentioned, I think is probably the best. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's probably the best known Jackson Pollock piece out there. One of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a chance to see it in person. I want to say at the Met, either the Met or, you know, one of the big museums in New York. It's incredible. It's breathtaking. He painted a lot of these works because these are massive canvases that he did. These are enormous canvases. So he would lay them out on his studio floor and do his drip painting technique on the floor. And obviously when you're throwing paint at a canvas, some of the paint ends up on the studio floor. And so you guys took extremely high resolution photos with, I'm sure, some really advanced.
One of the world's fanciest cameras, to the point that you can zoom in to be able to actually see even the fibers on the floor. I mean, I think the entire photo file stitched together is over 850 gigabytes.
Damn. So these crazy pictures with some crazy technology to actually render these artworks. And if you're watching on YouTube, you saw the artworks. We have them pulled up on the screen. I'm sure Clemente has a tweet pinned where people can actually see them if they're on Twitter. But, you know, it's Jackson Pollock artwork. It's incredible. And these prints are pretty big. The physical prints are big, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are 18 by 24s, right? So we work directly with really both the Pollock studio and our team of art advisors to really look at how to be able to introduce these prints to the market the right way, right? That goes into everything from print size to printing partner. We're working with one of the premier photography printers in the country that works with really all of the top museums in the Northeast and top photographers to be able to get, you know, everything from the color right to the quality of paper and the texture here that you'll see. And so we've really taken the same blueprint for how on the Web 2 side, right, how limited edition prints have been introduced to the market from other art estates, foundations, and got the detail right. You know, there will only be, for each one of these perspectives, 125 ever made.
Yep.
Right, 125 prints certified from the Jackson Pollock studio that will ever be made. And so it really is a unique opportunity to own a piece of history. So that's very much on the Web 2 side. But then on the Web 3 side, right, when we're talking about the NFTs and being able to own a unique piece of digital history, you know, obviously what's cool about the NFTs themselves is not just the artifact that you're seeing and have the ability to display, but the ability that you can attach permissions and experiences to that. So for us, you know, there are a couple things coming up that are tied to this NFT. One is that we have a number of digital collaborations coming up with some of the top digital artists in the world, because Pollock, as a traditional artist, which is funny to call him a traditional artist right now, has had more influence on generative art than any other traditional artist. In a way, he was kind of the original generative artist, right? There was randomness in all of his work, but there was intent in how it was composed, just like generative art. You don't know what output you're going to get, but you know what you're creating. So some of the top digital artists in the world, to be able to have an opportunity to be able to do a collaboration with the studio, you know, just jumped at that opportunity, right? And, you know, we've never announced this before, but part of what's cool is that those collaborations will actually end up being exhibited in the Jackson Pollock studio. Their work will be sitting in the studio where Pollock created all of his works, really drawing that connection between the two, right? Between these new works and the originals and the technique and the interpretation of those things. What's also cool is that we have an upcoming ordinals release, right? Because we know with this release, this is an edition release, but we have an upcoming ordinals release you'll only be able to participate in if you're holding on to these NFTs that will all be one of ones taken from the Jackson Pollock studio floor. And from a provenance perspective, we're building the traits of the edges of these works directly into the smart contracts and really bringing the premier artists of the 20th century to be able to inscribe that work permanently onto the blockchain.
Wow, this is no joke. Bringing in one of ones on ordinals. Absolutely love to hear that. And I think the fact that the Web3 artists are going to have an opportunity to be exhibited in the Jackson Pollock studio. Well, it says a lot about the Jackson Pollock studio, I mean, they're definitely up to date with what's going on in the art world if they're interested in digital art and NFTs. Node, was there anything that you wanted to add on any of this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've just been excited to be an advisor on the project. And I mean, a lot of people DM me and say, hey, like, is this real? Like, are these guys legit? And all I can say from my end is I've been extremely impressed with like the thought that they put into everything. And they have advisors in the Web3 space. They've got advisors in the traditional art world as well. Like, they're thinking through this really deeply. And yes, they are working directly with the Jackson Pollock studio. It's its own entity, and it's a legitimate partnership, and it's real. And, it's the actual floor that they're digitizing. And so you are owning like this piece of art history, which I think is awesome. And in a way, right, like the floor has become this incredible piece of work, right? It's an art form in and of itself that who knows if Jackson Pollock ever thought that, but it's now become like this epic piece. So I love the way that they've thought this through. And I think obviously if you want something incredible on your wall, like this is the piece to get for sure. Like, it's going to look awesome. The pieces you could see there, they look fantastic. And then, as part of this as well, like he mentioned, like they have an entire launch timeline of what comes next. Right. So this is not just, this initial drop of the four different pieces with 125 editions each. That's just the first piece, right? And then there'll be the ordinals drop, and then there'll be collaborations with other artists, and there's always going to be preferential treatment for those that own this initial piece. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think for us, right, it's really this ability we knew with Pollock to create an ecosystem behind Pollock and to be able to work with digital artists. And for us, this also brings so much credibility into the digital art space, right? Like, to be able to draw that connection, to be able to have digital artists have their work exhibited directly in the Jackson Pollock studio, to have the opportunity for that work to go into the permanent collection, so that if someone comes in to see the Jackson Pollock studio, they're also being introduced into digital art. That's for us, like the whole point here is to be able to offer a really unique collection of art that really bridges these two worlds together.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's so cool. And I feel like the NFT space has been waiting for something like this. So I guess to get to the mint mechanics and the supply, we've touched on it, but if we could get some details, Chris, we're talking about 125 of each edition, right?
125 of each edition. There are 4 editions. And if you go to the links you guys have put up, you'll be able to see just really how beautiful these pieces are. Jackson Pollock Studio 1 was just one that captivated all of our art advisors from the look and feel. Jackson Pollock Studio 2 comes from the Edge of Convergence. Number 3 comes from the Edge of number 3, and 4 comes from Blue Poles, which supposedly just had an $800 million offer put on it in terms of the value of Pollock's work.
People really need to grasp, Chris, how much these works sell for. I mean, you're talking about a handful of names that are up there with Pollock in the history of art sales.
The last appraised value of Blue Poles put it at over $500 million. Again, the rumor is that an $800 million offer was just put on the actual painting on the Australian National Gallery, right? So we wanted to keep this super exclusive, right? And when you're looking at offering, for example, a limited edition print, we wanted to keep that number well in the exclusive and smaller range of what's very normal, right? And often you'll see estates, foundations, and others be able to do 250 editions, and we kept this number to 125. Now we put 25 of each set aside as sets. So if you want to be able to get all 4 matching NFT numbers and matching edition numbers, we have 25 sets that are set aside. And then we have 100 individual editions of each one. And one big thing to note, when you buy the NFT, your NFT number and your edition number will match. So we think that that's important to draw the connection between the physical and the digital. Mint date is going to be July 19th. And that will go out first to our Art Pass community and Art Pass holders. And then it will go up to other partner communities and Web3 communities. And then the very next day, we will launch our public portal, and that will have credit card support and be really easy for anyone who doesn't really know how to engage in the space to be able to enter across the board.
And I'm seeing some sales come in on the iconic moments art pass, literally in the past few minutes. So I'm assuming that, some listeners here are interested, no surprise, in being able to participate in this drop. Signal or Nick, do you have a question?
And also, let me get to this, by the way, from
absolutely.
the mint price perspective here. For our art pass community, very similar to other communities that really focus on digital art and others, you always want to be able to create value. So for our art pass community, if you hold on to our pass, our mint price here is going to be right at $1,000. And that $1,000 includes not only the NFT, but it also includes the limited edition, hand numbered, embossed print that will be shipped flat to be able to protect that for you across the board. And that NFT will then give you not only the digital art, but access to the entire ecosystem here of future releases, collaborations across the board.
This is such a great deal. It reminds me of when the Damien Hirst drop happened, except this is a completely different artist.
Except for, look, I love that Hirst played with this concept of physical or digital, but we're not going to be burning anything here.
Yeah, Damien Hirst is alive. He's got a different playbook,
Yeah, but it reminds me in terms of it being, to go with your name, this is an iconic drop. So I think that, I'm definitely interested in this personally.
Oh, Nick's a sucker for stuff like this. He's like, so you mean
sucker?
Well, in the sense,
that's a great way to speak about this.
You want to have people...
and one thing to note, right, which may matter to some and it may not, right? The majority in all of our partnerships, the majority of the funds go to our cultural institution partners, right? And in this instance, it will go directly to the essentially the national landmark, which will be using these funds to preserve the Jackson Pollock studio and the floor to make sure that this artifact continues to live for anyone around the world. So for us, that there is a huge social impact angle on everything we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool, concept to be able to integrate into Web3, and I just feel like it could, definitely set precedents for how the traditional art world comes into Web3. Signal, do you have any thoughts or any questions on the project?
Yeah, I'm curious, Chris. I'm sure the studio must get approached a lot to do collabs of like different things from people around the world. What made them say yes to do this collab in particular?
One thing we hear a lot from our museum partners and cultural partners is we're the only ones that they trust, right? We've been in the industry now for close to 10 years. We have worked with cultural institutions across 4 continents. We won the United Nations World Summit Award for Best Innovation globally in culture and tourism last year. We were the only winner of 40 from the US whatsoever. We work and speak directly at the top museum conferences. I'm presenting or publishing in a lot of very nerdy academic places, right? So when we work with our institution, we know their values, we know their mission, and we know what they're looking for, right? And I think that a lot of times you can imagine when people that are in the NFT industry approach these partners, all they do is hit them over the head with how much money they can make. And they don't actually focus about what this actually means for that institution or how they could do this the right way. They care about curation. They care about the experience. They care about the story. If you check out the web experience and the video we put together, you'll see that we put a lot of work and emphasis here into doing this at the quality and the level that they care about, right? Like another NFT company might have taken the cheap route to go find any random printer. Whereas for us, because of our background, we're working with one of the most premier printers in the world that specializes in photography to make sure that these prints really do have value. That this is something you'll put on your wall and hold on to forever, and you'll be able to tell that story about it. And you'll be able to really have a unique piece of history across the board. So I think for us, it's all of those things, right? It's really trying to do this the right way. And look, we've all seen how many NFT projects are not done with quality, or are rug pulls, or shady in some way. We're a venture-backed organization that has been around for a very long time with a long track record of success. You can look, and we have advisors that span both industries. We're doing this very, very different from pretty much everyone else in the industry.
I mean, that's apparent. And obviously you have to do justice, to the work here. So it's great to hear about the kind of lengths that you went to make sure that you worked with the right partners for the physical prints and the digital, because that's, the images were created, for the digital assets as well. Anything else people should know about this drop, Chris? We talked about the mint date being July 19th. Obviously, precedence goes to, or first dibs go to the holders of the Iconic Moments Art Pass. Second, Can You Dig It holders. But anything else people need to know about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely sign up for the pre-mint, right? We have a couple of allow list spots here to give people an opportunity to be able to get in. And the best way you have an opportunity here is through the Art Pass as a whole. We are running right now. It is very difficult, but it should be. We are running the Pollock Enigma, which is a digital scavenger hunt that the first place winner will receive a free NFT and print here across the board. And so, again, we know how good some people are at digital scavenger hunts, so it is very, very difficult. But we have seen a lot of people really dig into that world. And Note, I'd love your perspective, right? As someone who's been in the digital art industry, what do you think people should know that gets them excited?
Yeah, I mean, I love this drop because it feels like it's like a pure art drop. Like you're buying it, you really are buying it for the art. Like this is it's a historic thing, and these guys are. Like, I'm not allowed to mention some of the publications that they're talking to on the Web 2 side, but they're going after the traditional art world like really hard as well. And they're trying to like help really bring traditional art and, Web 3, all the digital stuff together. And so, I mean, they've talked to some, very cool publications that I think they're going to get, hopefully featured in and everything on that side, which I think is really cool. Like it's one of those things where I just really feel like they're doing a fantastic job bridging the traditional art world into our world. And this is not like some kind of weird degen play. This is just an art for art's sake play. This beautiful piece of art. Up to you to decide how much you want to value the these images and the floor of Jackson Pollock's studio. But it's all there, and they've done everything above board, and they've done it in the right way. So yeah, really excited to be part of it.
Awesome. Well, the call to action, excuse me, is either try out that puzzle, because I mean, it's probably not going to be easy. I'm not good at puzzles, so I'd never be able to solve it, but I understand it's the internet. You got to make it really tough, and there's a high value prize on the other end. So try out the puzzle, but otherwise you can enter to win an allow list for the upcoming Jackson Pollock drop via pre-mint. The link is in the description. If you're on Twitter, it's pinned to the top. Make sure you check out the Iconic Moments Art Pass on OpenSea. That is your key for being able to get involved in this. Any other calls to action for our audience, Chris?
I think that the one thing that I can say is we focus on offering something unique that you won't find anywhere else. Right. And Jackson Pollock is the preeminent painter of the 20th century who had the single largest impact on abstract art and the single largest impact on generative art in terms of its influence of everything we get to experience and live today on the digital side. So if you want to really be able to have something that you can hold on to that no one else will ever have, this is that opportunity. And I can also say that, our next iconic painter that'll be coming after this is another preeminent painter of American art and the 20th century as well. So
damn, I didn't. Okay, wow, you never mentioned that, Chris, and I can't wait to see who that is.
Preeminent artist in the 20th century. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, check it out. This is an official, collaboration with the Jackson Pollock Studio, Beyond the Edge by Iconic Moments. Thanks so much to Chris for joining again. And that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Clemente, I know we have to dish out a quick free NFT password to the audience before we wrap.
Yeah, the password for today's free NFT is Shield75. It is Shield75, SHIELD 75. You can go claim that at thenifty.com for today's free NFT called Battles Embrace. It is another one in the series of Long Live Solana.
Well, there you go. Shield75 is the password. We might have an iconic moments themed free NFT next week. Not going to disclose anything, but there might be one. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, check out the Beyond the Edge, the Jackson Pollock Studio Collection by Iconic Moments. Check out the pinned tweets on Twitter if you're interested in participating. One more thank you to Chris and Node and the team at Iconic Moments. We're really excited to learn more about this again next week ahead of the drop. July 19th is the Beyond the Edge drop in collaboration with the Jackson Pollock Studio. Anyway, that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. We do the show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. Eastern time every week, talking all things NFTs, crypto, art, technology, and just about everything in between. Show's available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow to close the week out. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. We will catch you next time.